Hello everyone. Now you will hear a brief retelling of the film Brightness. Enjoy watching. The film takes place in an alternate reality. Various mythical creatures coexist with humans. In the morning, police officer Daryl Ward resists his wife's request to deal with the fairy, who are something like annoying mosquitoes or bees here. The policeman has 5 years left before retirement, but now he has a serious test, to become the partner of the world's first police orc. But in the meantime, we need to deal with the fairy. Knocking her down with a broom, Co brutally achieves the building in front of the neighbors. How can Daryl explain to his daughter that orcs are not stupid, and in principle there are no better or worse times? Just at that moment, I did not drive up to Jacoby and, thanks to my sense of smell, determined that my partner's lawn was fertilized with human poop, and not with compost, for which he paid. Daryl is very unhappy that the orc drove a police car right to his house, because everyone hates cops. In the car, Daryl reads Nick for the fact that earlier on patrol, ordering a burrito, he did not cover it and a man was shot by some org. Jacoby decided to get to the site through Elfgrad, where, accordingly, elves representing high society live. In the locker room, the other cops are hitting on Daryl for putting up with his partner orc and not doing anything to get him kicked out of the police. They suspect that Jacoby is covering for his own. The fact is that 2,000 years ago, the orcs chose the side of the Dark Lord and now they are villains by default, well, or the service staff of the elves. While Jacoby went to the armory, Ward asks to give him another partner, but the sergeant does not want to hear him. The orc had a piece of paper pasted on his back with the inscription "Kick me," and everyone is having a lot of fun because of this.
Take care of yourself, guys.
Teammates patrol ghettos inhabited by poor people and Bandugan orcs. Unlike other orcs, Jacoby has fangs cut off. This means that he is not a blood organ and does not belong to any clan. After driving past policemen beating up a couple of orcs in front of their families and neighbors, they reached a crazy big man brandishing a sword. He says something about the return of the Dark Lord and at the same time immediately gives up. In the car, a man suddenly spoke in Orcish. He tells Jacoby to remember the traditions and that his partner is blessed. While Jacoby was making out the bully, detectives from the Internal Affairs Department came to Daryl. They suspect that Jacoby deliberately released his fellow tribesmen. They force Ward to take a dictaphone and extract a confession from his partner. In the car, the policeman started from afar, but Jacoby smelled stress from his partner and asked him to tell him what happened at the station. An uncomfortable conversation interrupted the call. At the same time, a couple from the Magical Special Department visited the station to interrogate the rowdy. He is a member of the secret society Shield of Light. It turns out that there are infernal elves or renegade elves who want to bring back the Dark Lord. To resurrect him, you need to collect 3 magic wands. The leader of these elves is Layla. She is one of the few bright, or, in other words, wizards. The bright ones are able to touch magic wands, the rest immediately explode. Almost always it is the elves, among people bright almost do not occur. Layla is looking for her sister Tika, so it is through her that special agents will be able to get to the criminal. Arriving at the scene of the call, the partners immediately came under heavy fire, but they were able to eliminate the shooter. Upon entering the building, orgs smelled a lot of blood. Periodically they come across incinerated bodies. Immediately, the elf Tika tried to escape from them with a magic wand. Having worked, the wand easily destroyed the car. The reinforcements who arrived together with the sergeant cannot take their eyes off the wand, because it is able to fulfill any wish, and they really plan to use it for their own purposes. In addition, they gather at the 5, who is right now guarding the elf on the street. Daryl resists, but the cops threaten him with death, too. UD leaves the room and warns his wife on the phone so that they and their daughter get out of town right now. Right off the bat, he starts calling his partner a pig snout and accusing him of letting that orc shooter go after all. At gunpoint, Jacoby admits that yes, that's how it was. The only thing is that then in the alley he just caught the wrong orc and therefore helped him escape, otherwise the cops would have just shot him. Meanwhile, corrupt policemen agree to remove both cops and the elf. Word. Old. Is it time?
It's time for what?
When the others came out into the yard, Daryl suddenly turned around and shot all 4 of them. The orc is going to arrest him, but still puts the gun away and just reports the shooting. Immediately, a gang of Mexican gangsters comes up to them, who have found out about the wand in their neighborhood and are going to take it away. The policemen avoid, and the bandits shoot at the car, but the armored glass saves the partners. The Mexicans don't let them go so easily, and the car is already being rammed by a jeep with a couple of shooters with machine guns. When the shotgun cartridges ran out, Daryl immobilized the jeep driver with a stun gun. So, they finally got rid of their pursuers. But immediately the rebellious Wand makes an emergency stop of the car. A toothy elf Layla arrives at the scene of the police showdown and finishes off the wounded, and later interrogates and sends one Mexican family to the next world. The orc explains that this happened to the machine because of a binding spell, that is, the wand cannot be far from the owner. Therefore, they will have to hide it somewhere nearby. A real war could start on the streets because of her. Soon the fugitives are overtaken, and during a shootout Nick kills a man for the first time. One of the bandits grabs the fallen wand and immediately turns into dust.
Where did they go?
Gome we breathe them. The pursuit continues and Ward is wounded. Slowly they make their way through a den where orcs, humans and other races have mixed. In the confusion, they lost Taika. Bandits broke into the crowd and a fight broke out. It turned out that Taika hung on the wall and, reunited, the trio left the hot spot. The magic feds are also on their trail. The partners changed into civilian clothes and piled into a strip club. The Mexicans also demolished it. The wheelchair leader gave the fugitive an ultimatum and was about to shoot them, but then Layla and her thugs burst into the club. The elves destroyed the entire gang of Mexicans in a matter of seconds. The same fate befell the arriving Special Forces squad. Our heroes managed to escape. It's time to heal the wounds. Jacoby complains that the orcs have always seen him as more human, and humans as animals. Both of them hate him. He's also sorry that he's not a cop anymore, and he's been dreaming about this all his life. Ward called his old friend Sheriff Rodriguez to help, but when he arrived, he first pointed a gun at them, and then called the feds. The chief elf special agent picked up the phone. Daryl offers him a deal, a wand, in exchange for his acquittal. However, their conversation is interrupted by Inferni. Rodriguez puts handcuffs on both of them and confidently declares that the dead cops will hang on Jacoby. And at this moment he is shot. The trio hides in the store, and evil elves drive in there by car. The orc quite withstands the crush of the car, and a partner to help during the tick. Using ingenuity, our heroes manage to escape from the store, while smoking a little pointy-eared. But immediately they were surrounded by a gang of hefty orcs. Ward, in a very rude way, asked Nick to tell these Shreks to return to their Fiona. But they perfectly understand human and prescribe Daryl a star. All three were brought to the leader of the orcs, Dorg. He brags about how he got out of the grassroots and founded an orc community in Los Angeles. Dork is wondering where the magic wand is.
Look in your ass.
A person is beaten, strangled and cut with a hammer, but they deny the existence of the wand. They are going to be shot and thrown into a deep pit, and this is part of the rite of initiation of the son of Dorg. But it turned out that this was the same young org that Jacoby had saved. His father lets him go, but he still shoots Nick. Daryl was supposed to be next, but suddenly Taika takes the wand out of her hand, she conjures and with her help returns it to life. At the same time, the elf is so weak that she can't even walk herself. Having seen a miracle with their own eyes, the orc bandits let the hostages leave quietly. Only now the partners found out that Taika is bright. She said that Layla gave the assassin her wand to deal with her defector sister. But she failed the task and lost her stick. Taika has not yet learned how to use it, and the resurrection of the orc was very expensive for her. Now she's dying herself. According to her, they will help only in the Shield of Light. She needs to be brought back to where it all started. In the car, Orca tells about his idol, in the same bloodless orc like him, who 2,000 years ago united all races in the fight against the Dark Lord. The heroes arrived at the scene, but Layla's henchmen were already hiding in the wall and at first piled on our comrades. But after the revival, Jacoby became much stronger, so he first pierced the bald one, and then shot him, and blew up the girl altogether. Taika and Daryl broke Layla. Jacko sentenced her without a shotgun. Daryl lowers the wounded elf into the magic pool. However, Layla turned out to be much more tenacious of her fighters. She, hanging Torque, regains her wand, shoots Daryl and throws her sister out of the pool. She persuades her to come back. But then Jacoby intervenes and shoots off the fingers that were holding the wand. She fell next to the word and the guy decides, since they seem to be part of some kind of prophecy, then why not take a chance? And takes a wand, which immediately changes its color. Daryl really turned out to be the chosen one. Tika tells him a spell and he blows up Layla, and at the same time half of the building. Nick somehow got out of the fire, but when he didn't find his friend on the street, he immediately returned back. Super Org again showed itself from the best side. Nick was also respected by the Fanged Bandits, so they recognized him as a half-blood orc. Now you think you're cool if you're blood, right?
Yeah, pretty cool.
The wand was seized by guys in special suits, and friends are being treated under the supervision of guards, and only Daryl is handcuffed. Why aren't you chained up?
I think they think you're more dangerous than me.
Ward asked Orc not to say anything to the feds, but he laid out everything that happened to them, even though he was not even asked about anything. But Daryl was much more diplomatic and careful in his conclusions, and most importantly thanked the feds for saving everyone. Police partners are awarded medals. Tika also came to the ceremony to see her hero friends.